settle down. Thank you so much. Welcome back to the Dan Quarter Show. South Africa is a movie.
Welcome to the watch party!
Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but by accident, South Africa has kind of become a big deal recently on the world stage. Every single time Donald Trump wants to say, look over there, he talks about us, which is not the kind of attention that I have appreciated. At least the white genocide farm murder stuff has died down. But we are going to be tariffed, and there is a lot being said about us on the world stage because, ironically, even though finally the world has, even the big superpowers have admitted that what is happening to Gazans at the hand of the Israelis is absolutely reprehensible, we are still being punished for the fact that we have taken Israel to court in the International Court of Justice, even as many other countries, most recently Brazil, have decided to join us in that campaign to basically provide relief and protect Palestinians against the Israelis. And that also means that there are now these whisperings and murmurings about South Africa and the government of Iran. And so here to talk about what is actually going on is just one of my favorite journalists and editors. He's a legend in the industry. And most importantly, he, like I, am a Chiefs and he, like I, am a Pirates and Spurs fan. I promise we're not going to talk about Morgan Gibbs White. Please welcome the wonderful Mondli Makhanya, everybody.
Thank you.
I don't think this interview is going to get on TV because I said Chiefs, but let's do it as though it will and see where we can. Okay, so Mondli, what was the core idea that you were exploring in this big article that you did about South Africa's government and Iran's government and the noise around the allegations of what may or may not be happening between South Africa's and Iran's governments?
You know, as you were saying earlier on, that that we've become we get so much attention from Donald Trump. I remember in the build-up to his inauguration, there were a lot of analysts and even politicians in South Africa saying that that we're lucky that he's going to be so focused on so many other bigger things in the world that he's not going to pay any attention to us, and that it should be a concern to us that we're not going to get any attention from the Trump administration.
But now we have the
then what
opposite
happened?
problem,
kind
yeah.
of like immediately he came into power, South Africa, he just had an obsession with South Africa. And the main reason, basically, is it's the fake news, it's misinformation, disinformation being spread by people around him, but also by people who come from here. There are so many people in this country who go to the United States and spread disinformation and also spread myths even within South Africa. In the case of Iran, how it began was that our taking Israel to the International Court of Justice over what South Africa believes is a genocide that has been happening in Gaza. And when we took Israel to the ICJ, you know, there were just about 20-something thousand people who were dead at that particular point. I mean, like, there's a lot of destruction, but the genocide was very much in progress. You could see it. Today, you are talking over 60,000 people dead already. And it's a real tragedy.
And mass starvation of millions of people.
Mass starvation, deliberate starvation of human beings, denying people water, denying people basic services, denying people health services, and shuffling people all over the show. I mean, I've been around for kind of like 35 years in my profession, and I've seen a lot of things. And I have never, ever kind of like been touched as much as that tragedy that's happening over there. I mean, like every single day, it's on our screens. So, and obviously the US is a very close ally of Israel, and they took very, very strong exception to us firstly accusing Israel of genocide. How dare you accuse the descendants of the Holocaust of genocide themselves? I mean, like, it was almost like, we're accused of actually, it was a huge travesty for us to have done so. And then this myth, this narrative began, which says that the only reason we did it was because we were urged to do so by Iran.
And even that we are bankrupt, so Iran must have paid our legal bills.
Yeah.
That was a whole thing for a while. It was like the ANC is bankrupt, therefore the South African government, which is different budgets, could not afford to pay these lawyers. Iran must have paid the lawyers. But without any evidence.
No evidence whatsoever.
Just this idea.
There's this conjecture, and they owed a service provider just over $100 million, and there'd been court orders to and fro, and the ANC just couldn't pay. And then the ANC settled this bill, and there was an out-of-court settlement with the service provider. And around that time, around that time, we, as a country now, took Israel to the ICJ. And so people put 7 and 8 together and got 53. It must be. What is this coincidence of the ANC suddenly settling its bill and South Africa?
Has to be Iran.
It has to be. The Iranians paid the ANC's bill, and the ANC convinced the DIRCO and the Department of Justice to do this. And by then, the case had been in the cooking for a while. It's not like the ANC just, it's not like the government just woke up one day, hey guys, let's, it's a thoroughly researched piece of work. So,
and it's also extraordinary to me because, you don't have to be a lawyer to know that, our lawyers are world class, and the team that they put together are phenomenal, world respected, incredible lawyers. Do you think that they were just like, oh, well, we've been told to make this up, so we're going to make this up quickly in front of the whole world? It's absurd.
Let's just scribble it on the back of a matchbox.
Yeah.
and let's go. And the case that South Africa put there is, it's as thick as this. And those lawyers, as you point out, those lawyers are people, they're heavyweights, people who have cases all the time. So they don't just okay, guys, today, do you have an opening? Let's run off to The Hague. No. So a lot of prep work had to be done before that, and also to get to get the ICJ to accept your case to begin with, you have to make the case for them to actually gather all those judges into a room.
There was only one justice, I think, the Ugandan, or maybe two, who were against, but it was an overwhelming majority.
Just overwhelming, yeah. So basically the way it works is the countries that, the complaining country has to, they have to appoint a judge as well to the thing, and the recipient country, the country that's being accused, also appoints a judge to the panel, in addition to the permanent judges of the ICJ. So the person, obviously, who ruled against, one of those who ruled against,
was the Israeli
was the Israeli guy, and some crazy Ugandan who, it was inexplicable. Every single thing, she went against it, and there were suspicions about why is she, because it wasn't based, even the American, the person who's there, even the American could see, and those judges are seasoned judges from all over the world, and everybody could see that there is a case.
So what's the conclusion here? Because I can see the motive for trying to make it look like South Africa is just doing the evil Muslim countries' bidding. Because they specifically thought about Iran versus some of the other countries, and a lot of people like to paint Iran as a particularly evil country, at least on one side of the fence. But it's also part of this wider trying to make up allegations without evidence to besmirch South Africa's reputation, to justify ill treatment from around the world. But even Donald Trump in that White House meeting, after that, stopped talking about farm murders and white genocide. Even he did that. And he is about the least attached person to reality I have ever encountered. So what is the end game now? What are the kind of attempts to besmirch South Africa's reputation? What are they trying to achieve?
Well, the one thing that in the Trump executive order that he issued, very shortly after he came to power, which basically the executive order against South Africa, it was our relations with Iran, our relations with Russia, our relations with, our membership of BRICS, etc., saying that we basically are taking sides with what in US and Western
viewpoints.
They call them in their terminology, they call them the bad actors.
Yes, the bad actors.
Yeah, so
we are the good actors.
Yeah,
we win Oscars. Yeah. They do not win Oscars. We are
They're
the good
bad
actors.
Yeah. And Iran is probably the one that they hate the most. I mean, like, they fear China because China is huge and it's what China is. And there's the rivalry for superpowerdom, and Russia, it's for obvious reasons. Although Trump is very schizophrenic about how he relates to
He's
to
not
Russia.
attached to reality.
Yeah.
But it's interesting now because most recently, okay, so we've just seen a bill be put forward to the US House to try and sanction individual ANC members. And although the US Republican politician who put forward that bill cited a lot of things, the main thing that he talked about was Israel and the ICJ. He, by the way, is funded by an Israeli-linked lobby group called AIPAC. So there's an explanation in there. But the US government has now started lashing out against Brazil as another major BRICS partner who they feel like they can bully. So do you think that that is essentially what is happening, is a widespread attempt to besmirch certain countries to justify penalties against them from America?
Well, the US historically has always tried to determine the foreign policy and also domestic policy of
every country in the world.
Every country in the world, basically, kind of like including its own allies.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they're very angry. They were very angry. If you saw a few weeks ago, in fact, a week ago, those countries, about 25 major countries, whose leaders, including France, Australia, etc., who signed a letter condemning what Israel was doing, and the US went for them. I mean, like, and so it will always try to determine what the rest of the world does, because, hey, we are the world's prefect. So yeah, and so South Africa and Brazil, I mean, because of our membership of BRICS. But because we are perceived to be left-leaning, the current leader of Brazil, Lula, is a left-leaning person, and the current, the previous leader of Brazil was somebody who was very close to Trump and as crazy as Donald Trump.
Yeah, he was Donald Trump from Timu, Jair Bolsonaro. Like, he was literally a poor quality version purchased from elsewhere.
Yeah. So now so Brazil has been defined in that.
I see.
Yeah. And then with Brazil as well, Brazil has also been speaking out very strongly against Israel and has applied to join our case at the ICJ. So Brazil is now also kind of like in the naughty corner.
Yes. Mondli Makhanya, thank you so much for your time. So wonderful to have him in studio. Thank you so much.